Good morning, Algebra 2. Good afternoon, Algebra 6, Algebra 2, 6th period. So, I showed you a video on solving systems of equations by substitution. By substitution. We first did this sheet here. Now we're going to do part 2. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. The steps are going to be a little different. It's going to require a little bit more math in part 2, but it's basically going to be essentially the same thing. So as you can see, there's two different color sheets. So you should have started with the yellow one, and then we're going to go to kind of the more tannish color one. Okay, so that's the one we're working on now. And by the way, also cutting this one out, I know I instructed you guys on the first one to be careful about cutting along these lines, but this one's actually set up pretty good, so you can go ahead and cut on those lines perfectly. You shouldn't have a problem. All right, so let's get down to it. Bum, bum, bum. All right, here we go. So here's our two equations again, just like before. And remember, step 1 is solve for the easy variable. So in other words, we're looking for the variable that looks like it's easiest to solve right away, because we're going to set one of these equations either to x or y first, and then we're going to substitute it. And right away I see that this x is by itself. It doesn't have a 1 or 2 next to it or anything like that. So I know that I'm only going to have to do one step in order to set this equal to x. So that looks like it's going to be the easy one. So I'm going to make that equation 1. And I'll make the other one my equation 2. Okay? So let's go ahead and take that first equation and solve for x. X plus 5y equals 16. Subtract 5y from this side, get rid of it. Subtract 5y from this side, and we end up with x equals 16 minus 5y. Alright? Now, I now know what x is equal to. So, I'm going to take my second equation, 8x plus 6y equals negative 8. And I'm actually just going to substitute that into x, because this here is equal to x. So I can just substitute it for the x in the other equation. So now I'm going to substitute the 16y. 16 minus 5y. See where that came from. Plus 6y equals negative 8. Alright, now I just got to do the math. And what you'll notice is that now I only have one term in my equation. I can solve for one term. I can't solve for 2, but I can solve for 1. And that's why we substitute in this 16 minus 5y. If you didn't see that the first time. Okay, so 8 times 16, that's going to be, let's do a quick little math over here. 8 times 6 is 48, carry the 4. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 12, plus 4 is 12, 128, minus 40y, plus 6y. And I apologize if you guys are hear a truck every once in a while or something like that. I am outside doing this recording. I tried to find a quiet place for you guys, but bear with me. Alright? So, again, let's combine the terms on the same side. The 40 and the 6. 128 minus 40, negative 40 plus 6 is negative 34y. And then rewrite our 8. Then I'm going to subtract this 128 from this side. Get rid of it. Subtract 128 from this side. Now negative 8 minus 128, two negatives make a bigger negative. So now it's 136, negative 136. And I'll divide both sides by 34. And I did this calculation ahead of time. If you want to use a calculator, no problem. Go ahead and grab one. I put them up at the front of the classroom. Cross that out. And then y is equal to 4. So there's our first value. Y is equal to 4. So now, let's plug in that y to our other equation, our 8x. And actually, it doesn't matter what equation you choose. You can choose any equation, or either equation for this step when you're looking for the other value. So I'm looking for x, so I'm going to plug in the y, the 4, positive 4. And then 8x plus 6 times 4 is 24 equals negative 8. I'm going to subtract the 24 from this side and also this side. Negative 8 minus negative 24. Two negatives make a negative, minus two negatives make a bigger negative. So negative 8 minus 24 is going to be negative 32. Then we divide both sides by 8, and I get negative 4. Alright? So, now, I actually did a video just a minute ago, and I realized that I did some steps wrong, but I didn't want you to have to bear with me and go through and find my mistake. So what I did to make sure I didn't mess up, though, was plug these values back into the equation, and that's how I found my mistake. So let's plug them into both to make sure they work, because they worked for the first equation, but then when I plugged it in the second equation, it didn't work. So that's why we need to plug in both equations. See, even Mr. Osborne makes mistakes. I tell you that all the time, right? It is the truth. Negative 4 plus 5 times 4. Okay, so negative 4 plus 5 times 4 is 20. And then negative 4 plus 20 is 16. Oops, not negative 16. Sorry. So that works. Now, last time I did this, that is the same thing that happened. I came out to 16. I had a different value. But I need to double check the other equation because it needs to work for both. So let's write the other one. 8x plus 6y equals negative 8. Let me just double check and make sure I wrote that right. Alright. And then plug in those same values. X is negative 4 plus 6 times the y value, which is 4, equal to negative 8. Okay, so 8 times negative 4 is negative 32, plus 6 times 4, which is 24, and then equals negative 8. Here's the moment of truth. Negative 32 plus 24, yes, it is 8. So it does work. So that value, those values are true. So x is equal to negative 4, and y is equal to positive 4. Now, I want you guys to work on this one by yourselves. Work in groups, work together, figure it out. I know you can do it. Ask questions. Watch the video again to maybe get the steps if you forgot. But go for it. Work hard. I will see you guys mañana. All right, bye.